Hers is the face and the voice of foreclosure. Hers is the personal pain and the disheartening reality of losing her home.
What do when you lose your home and everything? People steal from you before you can move from one place to another. What do you do? I went from having a home and having a business and having a husband to where I'm at today, and I'm in a senior home by myself.
Aside from the pain, there is the confusion faced by many foreclosure victims as they take their last desperate attempts to save their homes by trying to negotiate what can best be described as the maddening maze of mortgage modification, which more often than not leads to dead ends, do-overs, and despair.
President Barack Obama had a plan for homeowners that the lenders are supposed to give us modifications. And what I was told is we didn't get any of that money, so we don't have to do modifications. I've had my home for since like 1983, and I'm thinking, now I'm starting all over.
According to the latest reports, there are 92,000 foreclosure cases pending in Cook County, and that number is expected to rise unless dramatic steps are taken to stop them or at least slow them down by helping homeowners stay in their homes.
The lengthy court process for foreclosure has allowed many families to stay in their homes for longer periods of time. On the flip side, it has left many communities with hundreds, I say hundreds, of vacant homes in limbo with no one to maintain them. Struggling municipal budgets are unable to expend initial resources to address the problem.
It is against this growing foreclosure dilemma that Reverend Dr. Leon Finney Jr., the CEO of the Woodlawn Community Development Corporation, convened this emergency summit on foreclosures in hopes of finding a solution.
Mortgage foreclosures just didn't start recently. They've been with us for a very, very long time. However, we've never in the history of the United States experienced such a volume of mortgage foreclosures such as we have today. It seems to me that the banking industry is ready and capable of doing the right thing as long as the banking industry wants to do the right thing. Seems to me that we're at a moment where there needs to be a collective common will to get something done. And I think that in this particular instance, it is the absence of a collective common will that has allowed us to get to the place that we are right now, and that is bereft of a solution.
This emergency summit on foreclosures drew victims, elected officials, community leaders, and housing advocates, all speaking out against the rampant rise of foreclosures, especially among minority communities.
The foreclosure has had a devastating and disproportionate impact on African Americans and Latinos. According to a recent Sun-Times article, African American household wealth in this country plummeted 83% to an average of just over $2,000 in the last 30 years. And most of that impact is in the last decade, compared with a 24% drop for the wealth of white Americans.
Illinois Supreme Court Justice Mary Jane Tice reminded attendees that the foreclosure crisis is having a domino effect across society.
Foreclosures affect families, they affect neighborhoods, but they also affect the court system. And so as a justice of the Illinois Supreme Court, this is an issue that affects my work as well. The Supreme Court is charged with the administration of the entire legal system. And so the Illinois Supreme Court has made mortgage foreclosure issues a top priority.
Nearly every community in Chicago is touched by foreclosures. What is often left behind are boarded up and vacant homes that become havens for criminal activity, including drug dealing and prostitution.
If we don't address it, if we don't turn the corner, if you will, and start, instead of having people lose their homes, have people start getting and keeping and buying homes and staying in them, then our communities continue to deteriorate, and it just becomes harder and harder for us to rebuild and regain ground that we've lost. And so it just becomes a slippery slope. And if you look at what's happening in the communities, you can see the challenges facing us now. And so we have to stop the slide.
It is estimated there are 114,000 vacant properties in Cook County. The city of Chicago thought one solution to the vacant homes problem was to simply demolish them, but the cost of knocking them down has run up a bill of more than $21 million. There now is a growing movement demanding that if banks and other lenders foreclose on a property, then they must also be held responsible for maintaining it.
The homeowner walks away out of frustration. The lender still owns that property. So the lender is responsible to keep that property grass cut and keep it clean. It is their responsibility. And I call on the lenders today, every single one of them, although we partner with the majority of them, doesn't matter. I challenge them to take care of their vacant properties. Do not leave our neighborhoods abandoned and poor and blight and walk away as if nothing has occurred. They had no problem collecting the mortgage. I think it's their responsibility to keep that property up.
Others declared that the same leaders that created the mortgage meltdown and triggered the landslide of mortgage foreclosures seemingly have no fear of either political or legal retribution. Activist Otis Monroe believes the only way to get them to cooperate is to threaten their bottom line.
The greatest single fear banks have, two, but the greatest one is a mass exodus of deposits from that institution. It really comes down to that. That even the very threat, whether it's the consumer, banks there, or even more importantly, municipalities, if they threaten to remove deposits from a financial institution that serves under the linked deposit program or manages the bond business of a municipality, they fear that.
Others suggested that in order to stem the tide of foreclosures, banks should change their loss mitigation policies to allow more homeowners to keep their properties. Still others called on Cook County officials to hire more lawyers, especially young ones, to help homeowners to aggressively fight to keep their homes. Everyone here agreed, however, that mortgage foreclosure is a complex problem that is still in search of a comprehensive solution. I'm John Davis reporting.